right, James Uloth, comedian,
extraordinaire,
black belt badass. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, great to be here, man. This is great. Upstairs at the dojo.
You know how we do.
Do you call it a dojo or do you call it a gym? That's always in contention, like what to call the place.
Gym, dojo. I think I call it gym.
Yeah.
And in Brazil they say academy. That's what they call gyms, academy.
Yeah.
So I think academy or gym makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah. Feels right.
I go with that. This is awesome though. Upstairs at the old academy. How long you been in it? You've been here 8 years now in this location?
So we opened here 2011.
Okay, yeah, 8 years.
2011, yeah, 8 years. Yeah. How long have you been training jiu-jitsu?
I think it's either 11 or 12, somewhere in there. I didn't have
12.
Yeah. Now it's so easy to keep track of stuff because Facebook, it's like it alerts
gives
you, right?
Memories.
No, but like when I started at, I don't even think you were in. Because when did you come to California?
2000. I came 2007, but I didn't have a school till 2009.
Oh, okay.
Because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this again.
Yeah, I probably started around 2008 or so. So you didn't have anything going now, but it was. Like there was only like at that time like 3 or 4 jiu-jitsu academies in the valley. It wasn't like now there's how many? Like every day there's a new thing that pops up. But there's 3 or 4 like ones that weren't some guy's backyard, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's boomed since then.
Yeah, it's crazy. More and more black belts, more and more schools for sure.
Yeah, that whole next wave, like my feed is just filled with guys that like were kind of like a generation behind me, and they're all getting their 3 or 4 years behind. They're all getting their black belts now,
and
it's
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's crazy. I was talking to Tim. Tim Valdez. He came to visit. He's one of my black belts from New Mexico.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, now we were just talking about him, to him yesterday or this week, about just how it's evolved in New Mexico. Now there are so many schools. There are so many black belts.
That's a fighting state though. There's lots of there's a few big gyms, isn't there?
It's like a big hub, for MMA. And, I mean, not maybe jiu-jitsu as well, but more MMA for sure. Because you're Greg Jackson and those guys.
You're actually New York original, aren't you? Kind of New York.
I'm from New Mexico. My family's from New Mexico.
And
I've actually lived in a lot of different places. Like I lived in Germany. Most of my childhood was in Germany, Munich, Germany.
There you go.
And then high school in New York City. And then, but I've always come
Where
back.
in New York were you?
So we lived in the city at first, but then in Staten Island mainly.
Oh, okay.
Jersey Shore.
Oh, really?
Kind of.
Was it lots of?
I think that the show, the Jersey Shore, most of the people were from Staten Island.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, but it's big time culture shock.
Was it
sure.
like that though? Like
I mean, there were a lot of Italians, a lot of Irish. It was it's very very New Yorky.
Very the stereotype is
pretty much. But I had a great time. It was definitely different from all the other places. Like I also lived in New Mexico before I moved to New York.
And so you were military kid then? Look, I'm interviewing you. This is great.
Right. It's good. We get to hang out. We get to kind of just like,
upstairs at the dojo. This place is great.
This is like part of the reason why I get to hang out with you guys and kind of get to know you guys, and you get to know me maybe a little bit of things that we don't know about each other. But what'd you ask me about?
You weren't from. You are from New Mexico.
So my mom's a language teacher, and we ended up like my parents separated when I was like 4. And then we ended up going to Germany. She always wanted to go to Germany. So we went, and my dad moved to New York. And so she, after a little bit of time, she went to Germany, and we ended up staying there for like 7 years.
Oh, wow. That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful country.
Yeah,
I've never been, but I hear.
It was in Munich. So I also had like an amazing childhood there.
So you speak German, English, Portuguese, Spanish. So 4 languages?
Yeah, I can get by with Spanish. I just switch up my Portuguese. Yeah. Man, you're from Canada.
Yeah.
You're from Canada.
Speak Canadian.
Canadian, yeah. So tell me your story. You're from...
I'm just from little towns, and then outside of Edmonton. And
outside of Edmonton, okay.
Yeah, which is... You probably know where, maybe.
Yeah.
Alberta.
I mean, I know, and I'm familiar with the area. What town are you from in the
shout out to Wildwood.
Wildwood? Okay.
Evansburg. There's like a bunch of little towns really close to like 3 little towns, but they're only like 200-300 people each. But when you combine them all, it's like...
1,000.
1,000 people. And
how cold does it get?
It gets pretty bad, and it's a long cold winters. It doesn't always have there's always snow in winter, but sometimes there's lots of snow and sometimes there's a little bit of snow, but it's miserable. 40 below for weeks on end.
Yeah.
And then originally I wanted to be a paramedic, so I went to school for that, and I did that for a little while. And then I wanted to, I always wanted to be a stand-up comic. So then
How old are you when you knew that?
When I knew that, probably like 12 or 13 years old. But you don't tell anybody because it's tough to tell people your dreams because people
shut it down.
Yeah, they always say, "Oh, you can't do that." I remember I told like a few people, they're like, "Oh, you could never do it."
Especially like parents and stuff, right?
Yeah. I don't. My mom probably would have been supportive too, but then you get like shot. If you throw at a goal, like I'm a guy, like if I throw at a goal, I'm gonna go do it. So I think sometimes I'm a little bit more careful on like who I tell or what I say until I'm like, oh, I can do this. So, but yeah, it's probably 13, 14. They used to do this series in Canada. They were Comedy Now specials. So like all the comedians, like the road guys in Canada, would get comedy specials and they would air them on our TV. And I had like 2 channels because we were in the middle of the nowhere, right? You had the government channel and then CTV, I think it was called, and they would air the special.
C what?
CTV. I'm not sure what it is.
Canada TV.
Maybe, I don't know. But it was like it was one of those big conglomerates that just do they'll do the local news and then they just air whatever's going on in the rest of the the rest of their programming schedule. But they'd air those, and I'm like, this is the most amazing thing ever. And then I went to paramedic school. Did that for a few years. Then I moved to Toronto, which is huge.
Why'd you want to go to paramedic school?
You know what? I was taken. I don't remember how I heard. I think I was like, for some reason when I got out of high school, I think I wanted to be a police officer. I don't know why. And then I went and I was just taking courses or whatever to kind of build a resume. And then somebody's like, why don't you go try this paramedic thing? And I'm like, okay, I'll go try that. And I really liked it. You're 18 years old and you get to drive in ambulance lights and sirens and you're, between life and death all the time. Like it's a fun 18-year-old job, right? And then you're like, you get to be like 21, 22, which is still young, where you're like, oh, I just got to, work in shift work and lifting people up all the time. Cause I don't know, like, cause you do wrestling, but like if someone just lays down like all floppy, it's so hard to pick them up, right? It's like, it's actually like, so you'll be doing nothing all shift. And then all of a sudden you get a call. So you just jump out of a couch all cold and you have to squat a 250-pound man. And you're like,
what about crazy things happening?
We don't have we have a lot of motor vehicle collisions. So it was along the highway. We have a lot of MVC. We didn't have, because it's Canada, you don't have a lot of the street violence. So we didn't have gunshots and all that, but lots of people run into moose. And if you hit a moose, like they look like the friendliest, coolest dudes, right? But they're like, they're built to just like go right through your windshield. So they like, lots of people get really hurt from that. Some people die obviously too. And
what about the moose? Do they survive?
You know what?
They just probably shrug it off.
Ooh, what was that? Mosquito. But they usually not on scene. They'll walk away. They can take a hit, but they'll die later because the forest is savage. Okay. Gotcha. You're hurt in the forest, they'll die off. And but yeah, so I was doing that, and that was not a bad gig. And then I went to Toronto. So I'm like a little town kid. I moved to Toronto, which is like the biggest city, and then I was a medic there.
Okay.
And then, but I was only doing transport at that time. But like I literally went from a town of hundreds to a city of millions, and I was like, oh, this is weird. And like Toronto's an old city, like it's not like a new, like all the streets are narrow and you got an ambulance there. My first shift, I got to drive the ambulance in Toronto. I got in an accident. I was it was awful. It's like my first shift, and they were cool though. They let me get by, and I did that. And that I would do that, and then I would go to open mics at night. And Toronto is a late city, so I'd do my 12-hour shift or 14-hour shift, and then I'd go run to an open mic, do my open mic, sleep for 3 or 4 hours, go do my next shift. So like for a year, I was just a zombie. But you got to put so much time in at comedy to get any good at it. So you got to get on stage every night at least once for the first few years. And then about 2 years in, I moved down to LA. And then
what brought you down to LA? Why did you decide to move?
It's just the entertainment industry, I think, at the end of the day. Yeah, I was just like, you know what? If I'm going to do anything, I got to do it here. And then, I came down to here and, back then it was so it's boom and bust in comedy. So it was kind of in a bust right then. Like not a lot of people were doing it. So you were out there, like you'd go to an open mic here in LA and maybe, 10 or 15 people would be there. So you'd get up. And then this is like right when Dane Cook was hitting off. And like overnight there was like, it went from 15 or 20 comics to like 50 comics just because, the influence. But they, to be it takes a long time to be good at it. But now it's crazy now because comedy's so cool. Like if you went to an open mic now, there's going to be like 100 comedians. And, I don't really hit up too many open mics anymore, I guess, which is, I'd like to, but it's so exhausting. When you go there and all these personalities.
Why do you think there's so many now? Because of the social platforms and.
Yeah. And I think everybody, I don't know if it's like confidence in that way is more for people now. Like people are just a little bit more brave to go try it. And then also like there's so many niches of comedy too, I think, where more people, it's like reaching more people and like, hey, I'm going to go out and do comedy. And what happens is people, they'll be kind of funny, but it's like, for you to do this, you almost got to be insane. Like you got to be just going for so long, for so hard doing it. It's like jiu-jitsu, like, you know, somebody gets their blue belt and they're gone, right? Like in comedy, they'll write 7 minutes and be getting up and they're like, oh wow, to get to the next level. Like I'm 17 years I've been doing stand-up comedy.
17 years, wow.
A long time. And it's, you know, it takes that long to get to a place where like, you know, even you're lucky if you make a comfortable living and it's what you do. You know, I was real lucky about that. So it was like, but yeah, these guys, they come out, there's millions of them. Oh, Professor X just walked in. The Brazilian wild man. What a crazy story. But you guys got to meet Professor X, man. He's like a musician, played in a band in Brazil. He's a lawyer.
Attorney, yeah.
Yeah, just travels the world, party guy. He's cool. Badass jiu-jitsu too, right?
Yeah,
4-stripe black belt. And
brings it.
Puts on a show.
Man, so 17 years, did you ever have doubts? Like, what am I doing? Was it ever like really hard? Like,
I think, you know,
days?
the first, like, I didn't have any problems off the top. Like the first 5 or 6 years I was in it, I was all like just running so far forward, like trying to get better that I never doubted it. And I think I think everybody hits that kind of like midlife point. Like I'm 36 now. I had to do math quickly in my head. I think I'm 36. And, you know, I think everybody hits that point where they start being like, oh, am I in the right place in life for everything? But then like I'll think that and then I'll like go do shows. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing what I should be doing. But, you know, it's tough because you see like you have friends who've stayed in like a tangible career where it's like, you know, a government job and they got the check coming in every month and they're all, you know, everything's squared away and tucked away. And you're like, oh, shoot, that's not a bad life. But then it's like those guys wake up every morning, go to work for 8 hours, and just that's exhausting.
Makes you happy to go to perform.
Yeah, I just compare like, oh, yeah. But, you know, like the thing with me is like I love doing shows, but like the travel's crazy.
The travel, yeah.
I fly like 30 weekends a year. So probably I'll be on 60 or 70 different planes a year. Enough to circle the globe like 3 or 4 times driving and flying. And it's like, you get pretty, but I just turn my brain off in a plane now. If you're my iPad and like, you know, people are bumping you with their bags and babies crying next to you. I don't even notice. I'm just.
What do you do to keep yourself busy?
Mostly I'll watch Netflix or something, you know, just download those on my, nothing productive. I try not to.
I always read when I go on these things.
Are you a big reader?
Yeah, and I play like the same song over and over and over. Something that resonates with me. And I really study hard.
Is it a paper book?
I do both, you know. Usually it's on my phone because it's easier to, you know, carry with me. But I really I study hard.
Like TAC-FIT stuff?
TAC-FIT, like neuroscience, like jiu-jitsu stuff too, you know.
So you're actually being productive on the flight?
Yeah, because it's my time, like my, and I actually like that's my time to do that.
Your own time, right?
Yeah, that nobody can.
I'm watching Narcos, like that's my education when I'm smuggling 100 kilos.
The guy Diego Luna, he does TAC-FIT.
Oh, really?
TAC-FIT, yeah, the Mexico director, he had him.
Oh,
doing
cool.
some TAC-FIT stuff, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
The main actor, the Mexico one.
I think it's the
Diego Luna.
Yeah, is he super famous in Mexico?
I think so.
Yeah, he looks like he's famous. For some, you never just see somebody like, I bet you he's famous in Mexico. I don't know. Just go with
he's famous. He's famous everywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, he's famous. But yeah, that making that productive time is probably good.
Yeah.
I don't know. You ever get in that rut though, where like I don't know about like efficiency. Like I'm on the plane, and if I see somebody just like ruining the efficiency, I'm just like, look at this idiot. He's not like, get your bag ready to go in the overhead bin. Like, don't sit there and look around. Like,
you always used to take pictures.
Yeah,
it's like the you know, make somebody's like asleep. You take pictures of them.
I had a big series of people sleeping on the plane in funny ways. I had one where 2 people were like sleeping face to face, like being each other's pillow. But it was yeah, it's a fun life. I love the comedy. I love, you know, like I think everybody needs to find some kind of physical sport to ground themselves. And jiu-jitsu, I had a friend when I was on the ambulance, and he was a fighter. Back when like you used to say MMA and nobody knew what it was, he was like, I do MMA. And we're like, what's that? He's like, the UFC. I'm like, okay. And so he told me to go try jiu-jitsu with him, and nobody knew what that was.
Yeah.
And this had been like 2002, 2003, maybe around there. And I'm like, okay. So I went there and I'm like, what is this? And he just rolling.
In Toronto?
Yeah, yeah. He did it in his, in like his spare, like in his building had like one of those rooms, like a rec room, and he just threw down some mats. And he came up with, because Toronto had a big MMA scene. That's where Carlos Newton and all that was from. And he, you know,
beginning.
I know, but like that's still, people didn't know the effectiveness of jiu-jitsu, and like people were just wrecking them like with, look at this joint hold. Like nobody knew the names of things.
Yeah.
But I trained with him a couple times, got my ass just beat by all his students. And then I'm like, it was just in the back of my head. I'm like, whenever I get a chance, I'm going to do this. And then I couldn't then because I was working ambulance and then comedy at night. And then when I came here, I was more doing comedy full time. So I'm just like, I found a gym who had lunch classes. And that's like this, like Legacy's got what, like 40 people every day on the mats now. It's like, it's crazy in here.
Yeah, we have fun. Man, it's a trip. Like I was talking to Mike Murder, you know, the break dancer, and it's like the same thing. You guys, like he would work, you know, whatever the job he had to do, and then he would do his break dancing, like go to shows or do whatever he had to do, and then start again in the morning. But like that's like the vacation in a way. That's like the fun part.
Yeah,
in a way, right?
All day towards that, yeah.
But for me, jiu-jitsu, I remember just having like no money and, you know, and I mean, sleeping in airports, whatever I had to do to compete and to do it.
You're the craziest dude though, because you were 18 years old, and you just like, you went to Belo Horizonte first?
I went to Rio first.
Which is like...
And then I met Draculino there.
And
then I went to Belo Horizonte. And once I moved to Brazil, like a longer period, I moved to Belo Horizonte.
So did you speak a lick of Portuguese when you went?
I spoke no Portuguese.
Oh my God, that's
and
crazy.
I read a lot of dictionaries, and I tried to, you know, basically translate to myself jiu-jitsu magazines like Gracie Mag, and there's a magazine called Tatami Magazine.
So did you even have a coach in? Were you in New Mexico then, or were you in New York?
I was in New Mexico. I mean,
did you even have a coach, or you're just?
So my one of my best friends, Amal Easton, he's like a big brother to me. He's in Colorado now. We basically, we just hung out and trained in his garage. Oh,
so he was already, was he like a blue belt or something, or was he?
He went down to Brazil first, and so he went down for 6 months, and then he came back. So before that, he was like a Navy SEAL. He was a student of the Machados,
really?
Actually, and he's the one who brought jiu-jitsu to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and he taught a lot of us, and it was the beginning, like the first UFCs with Royce Gracie.
Yeah,
and then soon after that, he graduated from acupuncture school, and he went down to Brazil. And then when he came back, that's when I feel like I got serious, because he started, you know, showing me pictures, and you know, it was before iPhone, so no videos, but you know, pictures and
like a Polaroid thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but he remembered like the techniques, and we would go over. I was like his dummy, you know. And then in that process of being the dummy, you know, we trained, and I was a stubborn kid, so you know, we trained hard, and then he took me a couple tournaments actually out here to LA. This is back in probably like 90s. I don't even know, 96, 95.
Because this is the only place doing anything, right? Here in New York, right?
Yeah, here in New York. So it was before. I mean, it was before Hanzo was even here.
So was there anything in New York at that time?
There was a guy named Fabio Clemente, who was a student. He was like a brown belt under the Machados. And so he was the only gym that I knew of, and so I actually went there when I went to go visit my dad.
Oh, nice.
And then there were the Machados out here in LA.
Yeah.
Of course, and some other people like the Gracies, of course, you know. So, but we trained in his garage, and then we did a couple tournaments out here in LA, and then once I competed, I was like, okay,
I got the
bug even more, and then he showed me pictures of Brazil, told me stories, of course, and I was like, man, I got to do this. And so I saved my money up, and I went. I sold everything I had and went.
So you just stay with somebody from the gym while you're down there, or do you have to go find
So he had a house. We had a house. This guy, he took care of the house. It was kind of like abandoned, but it was a nice house. It was like in this lagoon.
Oh my God, you were squatting and...
We're squatters. Okay.
How did you sell your mama? I guess you were 18, right?
I didn't tell her. You know? I showed her the pictures after. We had no phone, right? And I remember buying like a mattress that you threw down. It was like, it was like a level. It wasn't a bed. It was like it wasn't on the floor. It was like above the floor. So it was kind of like a bed, but we bought this like thin mattress, and we bought a fan because of the mosquitoes, right?
Oh, geez. So you're in a tropical climate with mosquitoes sleeping on the floor.
Yeah, and I had jiu-jitsu magazines, and I had my dictionary, and I had a lot of loneliness because I couldn't talk to anybody.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
And
you
I
don't
was
think
so
about that,
happy.
right?
I remember I was so happy I could do that and then train jiu-jitsu every day. I overtrained. I trained day, night.
Yeah, because that was the only thing you had to to do, right?
Yeah.
So did you, like, nobody spoke English? Did anybody at your academy?
What I first went to Rio,
Yeah.
So there were some foreigners, but I was only like pretty much Americans and a couple of Brazilians, but I was lonely a lot.
But that's the way to learn a language. Too,
Yeah,
I guess, right?
immersion, yeah. But then when I went to Belo Horizonte, there were a couple of people that spoke really well, and I became friends with them. But really, it was the immersion of of everything, like the studying the jiu-jitsu magazines and the being on the mat. Just little by little, I started to learn. Yeah, it's a trip, man. When I think about it.
Yeah, I was like thinking about my
just the different times, right? The different times like of technology, and it was before cell phones.
Well, yeah, you couldn't even you didn't even know where to go, right? Because you would now no matter where you're in the world, you whip out your
GPS,
phone.
and
you're
just GPS.
But you had to land at the airport and look for a map or something, or
I got picked up by a mall. Thank God, my friend.
Oh, geez, yeah, and thankfully he was there on the front end of it.
Actually, I brought my first time going to Brazil. I stopped. Actually, Hanzo was in New York. It was the beginning time of him, but he asked me to take a laptop down, his laptop to give to a friend. And so when I went through customs, they asked me, "Is this your laptop?" And I was, I was 18, so I was I didn't know what I thought. Being honest was the right thing to do. Was the right way. And so I said, "No, it's not my laptop. Somebody gave it to me to give it to somebody."
Oh, jeez.
And so they impounded it. Hanzo Gracie's friend's laptop. It was Hanzo Gracie's. He was giving it to his friend, and so they helped me, and then Amal had to come get me because they helped me for a few hours, and we tried to figure it out. And that was actually my first experience when I landed in Brazil. And we had to go there later, maybe 3-4 months after. The guy was all pissed,
Yeah, but it's like you didn't do anything wrong, but still at the end of the day, you didn't have a laptop for 4 months, right?
Yeah, it wasn't mine. It was Hanzo Gracie's friend.
But he didn't imagine he was waiting. He probably had something he wanted to play on his laptop, some Minesweeper or something, and you.
Yeah, I think I had a restaurant, so I'm sure it would have helped them.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Back then, a laptop was probably high end, right?
Yeah, that'd be a big deal back then.
Help you a lot, but it was what it was,
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
And then, geez, yeah, that'd be great, man. Being there in the heyday of it, who was on the mats with you out there in Rio?
So yeah, remember Gordo? Gordo's been out here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gordo and his brother Gorginho, Sonequinha, Draculino would come through. Everybody, all these crazy
was he already
champion black belts?
Because Draculino was he was the man at that time too, wasn't he?
That was his day. All these. I mean, you had this guy Holeta. You had Gracie Barra was
the thing, right?
The school. They had all these different styles. It was the competition school.
And were they were all doing MMA at that time? I guess it
was.
No,
they overall Gracie Barra didn't. Hanzo did. Hanzo did, right? Hanzo Gracie and Half and Hein, later, right? But the main jiu-jitsu guys didn't, it was more like the Carlson Gracie lineage.
Yeah.
That represented jiu-jitsu in the cage.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that's way back, man. That's awesome to think about. You were there.
You're pretty well-rounded black belt too. You when you first started jiu-jitsu, there was wasn't it the D'Artagnan, right? You started there.
Yeah, we would do more MMA style. We did I can't box, but we would do boxing and we would do the wrestling and the judo stuff, and it was a little bit rounded. Rounded like that. But that's what I got to get into next is to do some striking. But it's always going in and you're the bottom of it all. You know what I mean? You're hey, I can barely box. Let's all go.
Yeah. Have you ever tried bang Muay Thai?
No. That's what I've been trying to get myself motivated to go in there.
Yeah, it's good, man, because it's different movement patterns. So it it kind of helps your jiu-jitsu because you switch it up, right? You switch up the movements. For your brain, for your body.
Yeah.
Because then we get stuck to the same kind of movements over and over and over, with all the years of training.
Yeah.
Your body, form follows function, right? So, yeah, to switch it up. That's why it's so nice. We have all the different things like the Bang Muay Thai, the Tac Fit.
Well, this place has got a little bit of everything, huh?
We're
Baking
lucky.
classes at night.
Coming
For the I'm here for the baking class.
Probably.
Somebody was telling me they do like the they knew somebody who trained here in the women's fitness classes, and they didn't know that this was a jiu-jitsu club too. They're like, "Oh, you guys do jiu-jitsu there?" I was like, "Oh."
I guess I stay out of the women's only boot camp. That's the only thing I'm not really connected in.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the moms and stuff that do it, you know.
Well, and there's capoeira. Sometimes you guys will do in the back, right?
Yeah, I love capoeira. You know, I've been really enjoying it. I still suck, but I try.
That seems like a hard one, man. Capoeira seems hard. I just seen a video of somebody doing it in the octagon, and they beat
oh yeah, that's the old school one.
Oh, I was like, wow.
It was actually it was what's his name? Hulk. What's his name? Hulk. The mess to the Hulk, right? The capoeira guy who knocked out Amor Bitech, who we've had out here too. That was like a big deal because capoeira like kind of represented and beat jiu-jitsu. That was like in the early 90s, I think.
Oh, was that old? Yeah.
Yeah. What's that? No, it was I think it was Mess to the Hulk, a capoeira guy who was talking about. Yeah.
That's interesting, man. It's
yeah.
Just use whatever you got, right?
Yeah.
Use it to the best. That's fighting, I guess. But I think with me too, like I don't know. Because were you a black belt when you started fighting already? Because you didn't get into striking.
Yeah, I got my black belt, and I wanted to, I guess, prove to myself, I guess, that it worked. And then they had an event called King of the Cage come to New Mexico, and King of the Cage back then was a big deal.
I knew King of the Cage before I knew what UFC was because it was huge in Canada. Like Canada's always had MMA, and King of the Cage was a big deal.
It was big. Yeah, it was a big deal, and it was pretty close to UFC back in those days because they didn't have that many UFCs, and same with King of the Cage, not as many as they have now. So they came to New Mexico, and I was like, I want to try it out after I got my black belt. See if this jiu-jitsu stuff works.
So were you
in a real situation?
Did you even strike then, or are you striking?
I didn't. You know, I did some minimal. I mean, I messed around, I played around, but I never. You know, I was 1,000% jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I wanted to. You know, it was cool because I was all jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And I messed around a little bit, right? I went to Greg Jackson's. He helped me, and I was prepared. But for sure, I was up like all jiu-jitsu, and really, I was still competing in jiu-jitsu. Like I just 1 month I did an MMA fight, just to kind of prove to myself.
Yeah, because you never really wanted to go into fighting, right? Like you fell into it, and then you got into the UFC, and you're like, I guess I'll just do this.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it happened, right? Like even when I was young, I was like, I never wanted to do MMA or Vale Tudo or those kinds of things, But I did that first fight, and then I sold like a lot of tickets because it was in New Mexico and I had competed all around the world, and so they wanted me to fight again. And then one thing led to another, and then they gave me a title shot, and then I beat the champion guy, and then UFC was looking at me, and could fight in Japan. I'll do this, I'll do that, and
you'll take it.
And it was like I had like eight fights, and then just took like a hiatus for a couple of years, but just kept going. For sure, I never kind of expected to have like a MMA career.
Yeah,
but
were you in the path to like you wanted to be doing jiu-jitsu, right? In some form, like was coaching what you kind of wanted to do, or was it?
And like my mom and like a lot of my family, they were educators. So I think they had a big influence on me. So I think I was going to be like some kind of teacher. Not that I had planned about becoming a teacher, but I think it's what made me really, really happy. After when I competed, I fought, but it was always kind of to be like a better teacher. I don't know. I guess I got more of a high in a way of seeing just having that community and kind of like what we have now.
Yeah, this is
seeing people become good, and it's just so rewarding, right?
How many
people get good? You're teaching now too. You're teaching now too in Santa Clarita.
Yeah. It's it takes a while to get good at, man. It like you gotta formulate lesson plans and then like look at the way that other people learn differently. So you kind of have to like
exactly.
Especially like I'm a smaller club, so like I have to you got to cater to some people's learning patterns. Even if you don't do it off the demo, you got to go to their station and then give them the little, like, oh, this guy's, I'm going to have to let him feel it because he's not going to get it unless he feels it kind of thing. And
it's a process. Yeah.
Yeah. And you do it like you've been coaching for 20. So everything to you is kind of second nature, I imagine. But
yeah, you go on instinct, right? At that point, like you're a comedy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
17 years.
Yeah. It's not as, you don't have to write out the pattern in your head to do it. But I like coaching. I think it's, like you said, it's rewarding. Like I have a few blue belts now that have been with me since white belt, and like, it's nice to see these people start learning jiu-jitsu, especially like you teach them a move you do a lot, and then you watch them fighting and they're doing your move. You're like, yes.
Yeah, it's cool. What places do you teach at?
It's in the Edge. It's next to Vaughn's. If you're in Santa Clarita, Santa Clarita is like a small town. The Sand Canyon Vaughn's, adjacent where all the fires are right now.
Man, huh?
I got evacuated last weekend. We almost, one flared up right across, like less than a mile from my house yesterday, and my wife came running in, and then we're like grabbed everything to go again because that was real close. And then the fire department just bombed it with, like, they were there like
fire retardants
in a minute. It went up, and that helicopter dropped it within like a minute, and we're like, damn, guys. Because they were already kind of in the region, and like that thing would have been bad. That's where that sand fire started 4 years ago, which was 200,000 acres, and it started right near that same place. So if it hits there, it's just going to go crazy. And they dropped it instantly. I'm like, okay, I can stay home. My dog. Man,
there's fires everywhere now. Simi Valley,
the west side, right?
I mean, when we came from Mexico, the 405, the Gettys.
Isn't that insane? Yeah. The Getty area one.
We drove literally right in front of it, right? I think it was probably the beginning of it.
Oh, you ended up missing it. That's good.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could still drive through. I think they closed off the other side of the freeway. Yeah.
Man, see, this is the thing. Like, people don't know. Like Alberto, he'll go teach a tack fit course somewhere, fly for 18 hours, and then go right to class and coach. Like you wouldn't miss, if there is any way you could make a class, you would do it
for sure.
Like,
for sure.
I've been awake for 4 days, and
it's like you too, man. I see you like you're traveling like almost every single day.
Yeah,
doing the shows, and you come in, you do your class as well. You're crazy disciplined.
I
respect that a lot.
Oh, thanks, man.
You're sitting down, and you're not just like, you're really, really good. We have like good,
thanks, man.
Good black belts coming through, like world-class black belts, and you hold your own. You do well against them.
These, man, like,
for a guy that's a hobby jiu-jitsu black belt,
it's gotta make you pretty.
Sometimes. Yeah.
You just walk in and you're like, oh Jesus, there's like 5 guys speaking Portuguese on the end of the mat. You're like, oh. Yeah. Today's. I just say a prayer, get on the mat, and like, oh, hope for the best.
Yeah, but you put it down.
Oh, thanks, brother.
Yeah, it's crazy with your schedule. Like it's you come in, you're here for a couple of days, you go again.
I love it. This is the atmosphere that really grounds you too, because it's like if you're think you're something you're not on the mats here, somebody will show you.
Grounds you.
They'll show you the truth. You get in your head sometimes. You're like, oh, this is gonna be, and then somebody just pretzels you up. You're like, okay.
Yeah. It grounds me too. Like I can have like a lot of things going on, but I'll never forget like where I come from. I guess the mats and jiu-jitsu, and it just keeps me grounded for sure. Yeah, never. The people too, you guys. Staying connected. With everybody. Really matters to me.
Yeah, it's fun, man. That's the thing. A club is like, the atmosphere has got to be good, right? And it's like, this is such a productive atmosphere, and it's like, you get guys, like, you'll get coaches who like, they've learned what they've learned, and that they're just gonna teach that, and that's what it's gonna be. And you've never been like that. You've always like, oh, there's this new guard that's helping, people are winning with it. Well, we're gonna learn it.
Yeah, I try, for sure. We don't do that, but we have to do it. We have to go over it to be able to stop it, or to or maybe a guy in the gym ends up liking it and
picks it up.
That's it.
Remember when donkey guard was the big thing? We're like, well, I don't think we ever did do a donkey guard thing though. But you're like, if it works, do it.
We have cowboy mount now, huh?
Yeah, cowboy mount.
Cowboy mount.
You go into the cowboy mount.
Man. So what's next for you, comedy wise?
This year is busy. Got a bunch of, fly out somewhere. Comedy's real busy in winter, so I fly out somewhere every weekend, and I've sold out, and I do mostly the corporate events now. So I'll play like Christmas parties for the rest of the year, and I take all their money. All the big oil industry loves me, so they always bring me in and
make them laugh.
Yeah, make the oil guys laugh. They pay me so much money to go in there, and then they want me to make fun of them. Then they'll just like, I'm like, I could just do my regular act, and they're like, no, just make fun of that guy, and I'll just make fun of him. I'm like, all right, it's your money. I'll take it. Yeah, client's always right.
Huh. What place? You go to Canada mainly, right?
Yeah, a lot of, probably like 70% Canada and then 30% like Midwest. Like for some reason I'm in Michigan, Wisconsin, North Dakota, Ohio quite a bit, like those states. And then I'll go into the South every once in a while. I have fun down in the South. Go to Georgia and like North and South Carolina and stuff. And
I can't imagine going. Well, I can't imagine. I've been.
You do it, yeah. You do the same thing
in the north, you know.
Oh yeah, you don't.
Time.
You don't go up north. You go. I go on tour to like the places that nobody wants to vacation or go to, and you're like, I'll see your news feed, and you're like in Rome. I'm like, okay, I think I'm doing this wrong. This guy's like, yeah, I'm out this weekend. He's at the Coliseum. I'm like, okay.
But I'm back. I'm back Monday. Back Monday.
He's back Monday, coach of the class. I'm in like North Dakota and freezing my bag off.
It's crazy, huh? How cold it gets in those places.
Yeah, it's you gotta be hardy, that's for sure. But I find like I love it up there, and the people they'll come out and they wanna see comedy and they're having a good time. They're mostly up there from work or whatever, and they relocated there for
what
jobs.
kind of work?
North Dakota is a lot of oil field stuff and subsidiary stuff of that, the people who service them through whichever way. And same with, like, I tour Western Canada, and that's oil country too. So it's a lot of oil people, and then, it all trickles down into the other industries. But, blue collar people, like I grew up blue collar, so I can kind of talk to them and relate to them, and they love my shows. Like, what can I do, right? I'll tell jokes to the people who laugh. So they laugh, I'll come out.
You make us laugh.
Oh, thanks, man.
In person and on Facebook.
On Facebook.
Like you're telling Robert, what are you doing in Mexico getting parts for your El Camino?
Yeah. He went on a what do you call that when you go to Mexico? Patronage, or what do those people do when they go on a quest for El Camino parts? What would it be called? You don't know. Yeah. Nobody knows. I'm in my own language here.
Man, you've done Metamoris. You've done some announcing, right? For
yeah, I announced for Metamoris. That was fun. It was
Who'd you do it with? Jeff Glover? No, with
Chris Howder. I did Chris Howder. Yeah, he brought me in for it. It was fun. We had this whole thing programmed. We thought it was going to be like a 2-hour or longer broadcast. So we were really saying, like, let's set this pace more slow, right? And then the first match goes on, it's over in like a minute. We're like, oh, okay, good. And then there was 3 more matches scheduled. They were all under like 2 minutes. Like people were subbed within 2 minutes. It was really good, actually. Like all these guys are like world level dudes that were on it, and it was so fast. And we're like, okay. And then the main event came, and it was Gordon Ryan versus what's his name? Gracie, the young Gracie guy there.
Halleck Gracie.
Halleck. And wow, Gordon Ryan, I'll tell you what, is just a savage.
Yeah. Did you watch his ADCC matches?
I watched a few highlights of it. I haven't seen the whole. Man, is he?
Yeah.
Next, it's always those reiterations, right? Like there's this guy comes and sets the next level, and everybody catches up to him kind of over the next 5 years or so, but he's ahead of it now. My God, he's good.
How about his younger brother, 18 years old?
That guy, he's built like he's just like limbs and like he's gonna take it further than Gordon did too. I think like that guy's the future.
Yeah, it's crazy. Huh? There's like the Rutilio brother that I think he got a bronze, or he was up there. I think he made it to the Final Four for sure. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Just all these kids, and then there's the guy, what's his name, the blue belt, that got second place.
Oh, it was a wrestler. Is that
wrestler? Right.
Wrestler. Yeah.
But he's so new. Like all these guys, like.
Yeah, he was sweeping the field from guys who were like vets. Who were like, oh my, this is.
Yeah.
But ADCC is set up like that, where wrestlers can really thrive in it.
Yeah.
It's such it's nice to see that, as compared to like everybody loves the IBJJF, but it's still like guys are playing a gi to the game, and they're doing some slower games, and I love it. I play gi jiu-jitsu. That's what I mostly do. But it's like then you go see ADCC, and they're just like,
it's cool because you can do everything. You can do heel hooks, you can do neck cranks, you can I think you can do slam. You can do everything. So I appreciate the different rule sets that they have, like the submission only, ADCC, jiu-jitsu, gi, no gi. Yeah, I think it's good for the sport, for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and like I think the rules, they're gonna, I don't think they ever would, but IBJJF needs to blend some more rules in there, because it's just they got to make it a little bit more exciting, but also a little bit more true, I think. But who am I?
Right.
That's a federation that's been around a long time, and it knows what's up.
Man, it's crazy, man. From back back in the day, we used to weigh in at Carlos Gracie Jr.'s house.
You were telling me that, in your garage used to be the way.
And your brackets would be on his wall.
Yeah, and that was the start of it, huh?
Yeah. So the Worlds and the Brasileiros and all the stuff, we'd go to his house and weigh in the day before the tournament. And he would look at your bracket there on a piece of paper.
Isn't that
that was stuck on the wall?
I see now, and it's like because Worlds is huge, but Pan Am's is huge too. And like if I'm flying around that time, I'll be on a plane and I will see tons of people flying into LA to do Pans.
Yeah,
and we're like from around the world. It really is Worlds. Yeah. Does the East Coast have one? Does the East Coast have a level of like the Worlds?
I mean, we have like all the. They have, what do they have? They have like, we have all the major tournaments.
Yeah,
here.
We do the Pan Am.
The Worlds, the Pans. And the Europeans are in Portugal, Lisbon.
Mm-hmm.
That's a major one. And then, of course, the Brasileiros in Brazil. But I think we're kind of like, the Mecca now of jiu-jitsu in the world, Southern California.
Did you go to Japan to do theirs? Did you do the IBJJF Japan?
I did. I went a few times.
And then you did, you've been to so many of those.
Yeah, I did like a world tour.
You must be the most like.
I went to Manaus. I went to the Amazon just to do it.
Is that the one where you got sick? And you had to fight sick, or was it?
No, that was in Spain. But yeah, that was a whole other story. Yeah, I threw up. I got food poisoning.
My dream is to go to Manaus. Like I really want to see.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like I registered for the gi, the no gi. I did my first match, and it was in the nighttime. And I sweat so much that it was like I basically jumped in the pool, and my gi was like soaked, and so I had 2 matches basically in my division, and so I wouldn't stop sweating, and it was already like maybe 6-7 p.m. at night.
Jeez.
And so I think I lost so much water. I was drinking water. I was trying to drink juice. I was trying to rehydrate, but it wouldn't stop.
Oh,
it was something else. It was like crazy hot, crazy humid.
And see, most people would just call it quits, but not my professor, Alberto Craig. He's like, he just checks
part of
if
the
he
challenge,
still has a
right?
pulse.
Yeah.
Alberto does everything 110%. He's like, okay, well, we're in this.
Yeah, it was cool, though. I hadn't competed in Brazil for like at least 10 years. So it was cool. It was a cool experience.
You need to, like, I think if this was a different century, you'd be like an explorer, man. Like, you'd be Shackleton going down to, like, the South Pole or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's...
I love Shackleton. I love the story, I love that.
Did you ever try that scotch that they made about his expedition?
No.
Yeah, they had, because you know how whenever he died, he left, there was a case of scotch they left under the one building, and then all the
like ships.
Yeah, all these
his ship, the main ship that got trapped by the ice.
They built a shack in the South Pole, I think, and they found it under one of the shacks that they had built, and he and the scientists found it. And they're like, "Oh, this old scotch, we'll just drink it." And then somebody's like, "That's probably worth something," and they started selling it. It was going for like some crazy thousands of dollars a bottle. Huh. So then somebody went and because now they can analyze everything and recreate the flavor.
Nice.
So they analyzed it and they've made Shackleton scotch. That's the exact same scotch that Shackleton.
I don't drink scotch, but I love Shackleton and I love the story, so I'll have to probably look into it.
Try it. It's a really good. Yeah, it's a really good scotch actually. For
you've tried it.
Yeah, it's like a $30 bottle. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Nobody drinks scotch. It's when you're in a room of non-scotch drinkers, they're just like, okay. Well, you don't really drink. I don't
drink, yeah.
Acai bowls or acai smoothies. Alexander Shackleton's acai.
I like to have a drink, relax on the weekends. I used to never drink even anything like a beer or anything, but now.
Well, you were a pro athlete I guess you still are, but not year round, are you?
I'm a teacher, right? But I didn't just enjoy life.
For 10 years, were you a pro athlete?
For MMA, yeah, I fought, for like 10 years, but you can. to relax the nervous system, right? It's good for you. It's good for you.
Yeah.
It's good for you. Beer, wine, like, like it's medicinal and
everything in moderation.
Else. That's it. It's good for you. So I've learned to.
What do you drink? Beer?
I like a beer. Yeah, on the weekends, I like to have a beer. Just
a little craft brew going.
Like
do we get an endorsement of? Are you going to endorse a beer here? A local.
I'm not a. My stepfather's he's from Munich, from Germany. So he's my teacher of what to drink. So he tells me all this stuff, all the best beers and everything. So I always listen. I take notes even.
Is he? He's from Germany.
He's from Germany. Yeah, he's.
Does he just yell on the phone like
Bavarian?
Get the beer.
He tells me crazy stories when he was in Germany growing up. As a kid, they give you beer, right?
Yeah, there's no age limit. It's not looked down
it was
upon,
like
right?
it was like food.
Oh,
beer
yeah?
was food. Beer was part of your nutrition. Yeah.
But yeah, in Europe, a lot of places, it's not like nobody. As long as you're not getting drunk, you can have a beer when you're a kid, right? Like maybe not a kid, but like in your teens, like you're 14 or 15.
Maybe.
I don't know. I was probably.
I'm sure it's like in even like Italy and France, like kids grow up with like wine and stuff. I'm sure. I think everything in moderation, right? A little bit.
Where I'm from in Canada, it's 18 is the drinking age, which like blows the because you Americans, it's like 21 before they can trust you to drink alcohol. That's how Americans are, right?
You can die, you can go to war, but
yeah,
no beer for you.
I don't even trust Americans at 21. Do you? Are you from Rio? Oh, sorry, I'm talking to Uncle Rico.
I'm from Salvador.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Why did I think you were Brazilian, man?
I am Brazilian. Salvador is a city. That's
I thought you said you're from El Salvador,
No,
and I was just
El
being that.
Salvador.
I thought I was being that racist guy who like everybody's like.
No, not El Salvador. Salvador.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's
that's where Brazil. That's where
Bahia.
Brazil started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the first capital of Brazil is Salvador. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You guys are holding on to that title, huh?
Well, proud of it. Yeah, and drinking age is 18 in Brazil, but
nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
There's probably bigger problems than teenage drinking.
Yeah.
And
we started drinking when we were like 14 or something like that.
oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
You probably had a family by then, though, didn't you? How many kids you have it for?
No, none. I lived in Canada for a year.
Oh, did you?
That's
Yeah.
why he speaks.
Yeah,
his
PI.
English is good.
Oh, you lived in PI is the province that's a small town. I think there's like, what city?
Summerside.
Is that right outside of Charlottetown or Charlottetown?
It's on the other side of the island.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Charlottetown is the biggest one, and Summerside is the second biggest one.
What state was that in?
It's PEI, the province.
Prince Edward
Island. Yeah.
Oh, is that like by north of Maine?
Have you ever heard of
Yeah.
Anne of Green Gables?
No.
Oh, it's probably. It's
I'm
just
totally
like,
lost. I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
It's like
PI, huh?
PEI, Prince Edward Island.
Ah, okay.
it's
okay.
It's I think like
I've
5
seen it on
people
the
live there.
A lot of potatoes. Yeah, Cavendish.
Does it get cold
McCain.
in the winter?
Yeah, minus 30 Celsius. I had like 30 days of snow, so no school for 30 days.
It's on the ocean, like it's right. It's
Okay.
It's actually a really beautiful place.
I didn't get the beautiful part because the beautiful part is like during summer, and I wasn't there during summer.
You Brazilians do not like snow. You got no time for it. Like
I like it. But
do you? Maybe
yeah.
in a picture.
I like snow, but I like the beach better.
You guys are so like you lived in such a warm climate, beach climate that I don't think Brazilians care too much for the cold.
Not the whole country though. Like in the south, like it's really cold in the south.
Oh, is it?
It kind of snows in small towns. It snows.
I was saying they don't like the cold, so Professor X came in.
Yeah.
Would you go into the snow, Professor? You don't like the snow, do you? Yeah, I like it. Oh, you do? Where do I get these stereotypes from? I'm just
And like the beach part is like just like a not small, but it's not very known. Like besides Rio, and like they're like a small like cities that are like known for their beaches like worldwide. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just Rio was like, and Salvador was like voted like one of the best beaches like in the world.
Okay.
The beach from my city. Yeah.
So we always get that news feed, and it's always just Rio, like the beach in the 1970s. You know what I mean? Like that's whatever everybody.
Yeah, Rio is like the version of LA. You know,
Yeah.
it's like LA version in Brazil because you have like a lot of money, but you also have the beach life. You know, just like LA, you have like downtown, you have the here at the valley, and then you have like Santa Monica. Same thing in Rio.
Right on.
I really want to go down there.
I've never been to Salvador. I've been to I've been everywhere else, I think, and I've been to the Amazon, but so you'll be taking me.
Are we gonna do a school trip? School trip.
School trip.
You've done
We
that a
gotta-
few times, right?
In the past, we got to go.
That'd be great.
Professor James.
Yeah. And
We
we're
gotta
like
go.
rich
It's that
down there with
time.
the exchange
You
rate,
take
right?
Professor Tarka down.
Yeah.
Leonidas, you. We gotta do it.
Let's do it up.
Yeah, we gotta do it.
Take this guy as your tour guide.
Oh, and our attorney, he's a legal attorney there. We get out
Legal
of
attorney.
Professor X to keep us out of trouble.
Professor James, how can people find you?
JamesUloth.com. All the links on there. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, if I'm ever on it. Did anybody else just neglect their Twitter?
Yeah, I just link my Instagram to Twitter.
Oh, do you?
I don't
like the-
look at it. I retweet something from like a month later, and like that's not acceptable.
It's like a stepchild, but that you divorce the mom and you just every once in a while come back and like give a Christmas card to. Like, hey, I know we lived together for like 5 years and we were cool, but
That's the craziest analogy I've ever heard about Twitter.
yeah.
we are the divorced stepchild.
I don't have Twitter, so.
Oh, you don't?
No.
What do
The
you
only
have?
reason I have Twitter is because you have a link that you can connect your Instagram to. I mean, otherwise I don't think I would even look at it.
For me, it doesn't make any sense. Like just to write whatever I'm feeling or.
People want to know, Uncle Rico.
I don't want people to know.
Uncle Hiko, right? Hiko.
Hiko.
Not Uncle Rico.
We gotta do a Brazil trip. Brazil.
Yeah, Salvador. Salvador is a place.
Oh, it's gotta be on it. Now you've upped it so much, like we can't not go.
I tell this guy every day.
He said
like,
we could stay in his house.
Yeah, I have a nice summer house.
Oh, you
On
do?
the beach.
You got a summer house?
Yeah.
Look at that, man.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice.
Uncle Hiko, man.
Hiko.
Brother,
Thanks you so much, man. This
Thanks
was
for
fun.
hanging out.
That was a cool time.
Yeah.